time to fuel your business success. Welcome to Harmonious at Lunch. We're bringing you bite-sized advice and expert conversations to drive clarity and growth 5 days a week. Make sure you join our Facebook group at humanop.com/lunch, where listeners like you and our guests hang out so we can find harmony in business together. If you're building a business, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Hey, welcome back to another Whupdate. It's the end of the week. We're wrapping up the 4 episodes from Harmonious at Lunch this week. And we had some good ones. We had some meh ones again, but that's okay. I'm going to give you the inside scoop, the behind the scenes here, and we'll roll through it, see which ones apply to you if you haven't listened to them. If you have, then, well, you can hear the recap and jog your memory of something that you want to go back to or something that you want to implement, take action on, whatever it is. But we had 4 really cool guests this week. It was a sausage fest this week. We had 4 dudes. We had Fuquan Bilal on Monday, Darin Roberge on Tuesday, Al Kushner on Wednesday, and Thursday's episode was Steven Schneider. We covered real estate, we covered AI, we covered just kind of your personal entrepreneurial journey. We covered LinkedIn. So a cool variety of episodes this week. But let's dive in here. We got some clips, we got some summaries of the episodes. And like I said, if something sounds interesting, you haven't gone back and listened to it, go check those episodes out. It would be the 4 previous episodes to this one, wherever you're watching or listening. All right. Starting out the week, we got Fuquan with the Investors Playbook. Fuquan is in real estate investing, and he's from Jersey. I'm from Jersey. So cool to connect from another Jersey native, although I was fortunate enough to get out and he wasn't. So my condolences to you, Fuquan. But all jokes aside, this was an interesting episode because a lot of times, we've had real estate investors and people who use real estate alongside of their business or as their primary business to build their wealth. And Fuquan's journey was really cool because it wasn't something for him that he necessarily thought he was going to do, but just started learning more and more about it and got really good at it. And now he helps other people do it. He has a fund where you can invest in, and other people give him money to grow their money, which is fantastic. You don't have to be a real estate expert to be in real estate getting wealthy. Disclaimer on this one. I was in a mastermind a number of years ago where they used this strategy, or at least they said they used this strategy to get people rich and get them rich quick. That is not the message of this podcast, and that's not what Fuquan was saying. I fully condemn that mastermind, that model. Let's just get you directionally close. That guy was based in Provo, Utah. I'm not going to say anything more about it, but this is not that. This is an actual strategy to help people grow their wealth who are busy with other things, like you listening to this podcast. You own a business. You don't have time to be going and learning real estate. It's not your full-time job, but to do it right, it really should be your full-time job. So I love this stuff because he's not just telling you to go out, buy single family rentals and go make a profit that way. It's more like, no, I can help you. I can help you learn, but also do it for you and help you build your wealth that way. So anyway, let's play a clip from Fuquan. This is a cool clip about how his son inspired him early on in his journey.
Yeah, a funny story, and this is true. At this time in my real estate journey, I was doing a lot of short sales, and I had a negotiator offer for me to actually buy the loan. And I was like, how can I buy this loan? And my son, actually, I had picked him up from school, and I was finishing a call when he got in the car. And he overheard the call, and I was like, how do they want me to buy the loan? I can't buy the loan. It was a large loan. And my son said, I thought you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
So it's like, true story.
I love that stuff. Kids are always the best teachers, right? I have 3 little kids, and every now and then they hit you with one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, I tell you to do that. Why am I not following my own advice or my own direction? So shout out to Fuquan. That was a good episode. I didn't announce it. But there I had on the screen previously, it's Investors Playbook. Go check that out over on YouTube, wherever you're listening to this, it's there as well. It was a really good episode. It was a lot of the mindset of building wealth before you start trying to build wealth, order of operations, and everything we already talked about. So go check that one out. It'll definitely inspire you, help you think differently about how to build your wealth if it's not you doing the work. I think in order to scale anything, you need to master that skill of not doing the work that results in a paycheck, empower other people to do it. And this is just one of those examples. Anyway, moving on. Tuesday's episode with Darin Roberge. Darin was awesome to talk to. This was one of those episodes where going into it based on the information I had available to me, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a good episode. And quite frankly, I'm okay if he doesn't show up for the interview. It's just full transparency here. I have those every now and then where if we're supposed to record at 2:30 and it's 2:31, I'm like, oh, they're not here yet. Maybe I'll get lucky. This was one of those episodes, but boy, was I wrong. Darin showed up and he was not the person that I expected based on the bio and the information that was submitted. And his story was just so cool. He was down to earth, and it was really the story of all of us, I think, because he just kept rolling with the punches. I put his the thumbnail here on the screen. It's a neon brain, and it says sustainable success. If you're watching, you'll find it over there on YouTube. But Darin's story is one of perseverance, of optimism, of really openness, I think, because he wasn't stuck on anything. He wasn't set on like, this is the way it needs to work. It was more like, well, I like this. I like doing it. I bet I could turn it into a business. Let's see what happens next. And he's done that over and over and over. I'll play a clip here in a second. I mean, he's done this over 15 times now. He's the definition of a serial entrepreneur. And he keeps just thinking bigger and making it work in the nonprofit space, in the for-profit space. Such a cool interview. If you didn't check that one out yet, I highly recommend you go back and listen to it, because I think it'll give you a new perspective on if there's challenges that are coming up in your businesses, if there's roadblocks, if you can't think of something in a different perspective, go hear somebody like Darin talk and adopt his mindset for a few minutes. Try to solve problems through his lens and see if that helps you in your business. Let's play this clip and then we'll move on to the rest of the week.
I didn't really know what I was doing when I started my first business. I'm on about my 15th business now. So it's one of those things where you kind of make a lot of mistakes and you kind of, stumble in and out of opportunities before you get someplace that's feeling at least semi-permanent. With that said, what you said, there's not really any real permanence out there. It's very difficult now to do things all the way to retirement. People that generally accomplish that, kind of hit a home run pretty early and check out that way. But I don't think I've ever really been in a position where I felt like retirement was the long-term goal with anything that I've ever done before. And it's constantly been sort of a, what are we going to do now? How are we going to be happy? How are we going to enjoy our work-life balance? And what's going to make us get out of bed and get excited in the morning? And that's kind of what's dictated the entire course of my career up to this point.
I think we all need to adopt a little bit more of that mindset. Instead of having to do something, it's what am I passionate about? How can I help people? And I know when I get kind of down in the dumps, if you will, it's like, well, I'm not really doing this for me. I'm doing this because it really is my passion, and I want to do it, whatever it is. Even this podcast, I've had times where, even 6 months ago, I was in a little bit of a rut where I was like, does this even matter? Do I want to do this? And then I remembered all the cool people I get to talk to, and then the amazing listeners who have messaged me and said something helped them or they really liked an episode. And to me, that's why it's worth continuing. For Darin, it's the same thing. He follows his passions. He figures out how to make it work. And if something's not lighting him up, then he could just move on. But it's remembering why you're there in the first place that I know so many entrepreneurs who I've talked to need to do that more often. We focus on the negatives, the things that aren't working. We got to think about, why are we here in the first place? What are we doing? Do we still agree with that vision, that mission, that purpose? And does it still apply? And if it does, I would say keep going, but let's try to remember that a little bit more often instead of being so quick to just look at the negative things. Anyway, we're moving on now. Thanks, Darin, for stopping by. Episode 3, the Wednesday episode of this week, Al Kushner. We talked all about LinkedIn, the thumbnails on the screen, LinkedIn domination. I always love when I look at these thumbnails, they're AI generated, and it's just so funny what AI comes up with. I don't see AI taking jobs anytime soon because it's just it's hysterical. It's comical to me. So anyway, that's a side note, different episode for a different day. Actually, we're going to talk about AI in the next episode this week. But this episode, LinkedIn, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. It's one of those things. I have never had success on LinkedIn, and we've had a number of guests on the show who talked about LinkedIn. It's probably 5 or 6 at this point over the 400-ish episodes. And, it's stuff that conceptually makes sense, but I personally cannot figure out any social media platform. I don't get it. I don't get how they work. I follow all the quote unquote rules of the platform, all the rules to grow, and I get nothing in results. So this is one of those episodes where if you're interested in growing your presence on LinkedIn, I 100% recommend you go look at it. If you have no interest in being on LinkedIn, you do not need to check out this episode. There's nothing of value here that's going to help you grow your business outside of the LinkedIn platform. And also, full disclosure, I don't have a clip from this episode because there was nothing really, new and noteworthy of sharing. So if you want to check it out, please be my guest. I would love for you to tell me that you implemented something from this, you had success on LinkedIn, and you actually won. You did something positive for your brand, your business, whatever it is. But for me, like I said, it's just that's not the case, and that's not where I'm focused. I don't lose sleep over it at night. And I think that's, if nothing else, that's my message to you. Like, don't think you have to do everything that's on this podcast. If there's a guest and they're telling you to be on LinkedIn, or they're telling you to be on TikTok, and that's how they grew their business, that's how you're going to grow yours, BS. That's absolute garbage. Do what's right for you. Try it out by all means, but don't stress over it if it doesn't work. It's okay to try things and say no, or just say no right off the bat. If it's right for you, great, do it. If it's not right for you, don't sweat over it. Hopefully there's a nugget you can pull from the episode too, though, and it's not a complete waste of your time. But outside of that, I used to get frustrated with podcasts where I would try to do that. I would listen to it and try to implement everything, and you end up basically taking 4 steps backwards, because then you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something hits. So that's my message on this episode is, it's not for me. It may not be for you. It may be for you. And either way, I hope you get value from it. And if not, then skip over to the next episode. That being said, let's talk about it. AI search domination. We had Steven Schneider on the show. This was actually a cool episode because it was almost the identical topic, at least on paper, to the episode with Jason Barnard that aired the previous week. And I would strongly suggest this is one of those episodes where you need to listen to both of them and be aware of this. I'm not saying, I don't want to contradict what I just said. I'm not saying you need to go do it right now. However, you need to be aware of the changing landscape in business. And this is more of a principle episode than a tactic or a strategy episode. The principle here is AI is changing the game of search, of traditional SEO. Both Jason and Steven, SEO experts, a little bit different focus for each of them. So we got to really cool how we got to see 2 different sides of the same coin. But what they said overlapped very nicely, and it was consistent, which to me says it's also something we need to be very aware of. So I'll play a clip here in a second, but the essence of this episode was, you need to be able to stand out on AI generated search. And it's not that we're throwing away traditional SEO, but there's more to it that you need to be aware of and you need to consider. And if you don't, then you will fall behind. So it's not something that's happening like right now. If you show up well in search, you have a good SEO presence as is, you're probably okay for the near future. But if you don't start to at least be aware of what's changing, you will fall behind very quickly. Last week's Whupdate episode, I said that AI is a bubble. And yes, I still believe that's true. There's a lot of companies that are creating products that are just going to fail and flop, and they're going to go away. We're never going to hear from them. AI itself is not a bubble. The change in search methodology and the change in the way your company shows up and the way your brand is authenticated and dominates the marketplace is absolutely changing, and it will change forever. Like, there's no going back to the previous way of search now that we have AI here. So one of those things that I'm just emphasizing the importance of understanding this. Again, not implementing it like right now, but understanding, planning for it, and developing a strategy around it in the near future is going to be important for the longevity of your brand and your business in the marketplace. Let's play the clip and we'll get you out of here.
I think the beauty of it is that if your content can be seen as AI or discovered or found out as AI content, you're not creating AI content well enough. The goal of creating quality AI content is that it doesn't look like AI content when it's done, but you just saved yourself 70 hours of work. So like I know people on LinkedIn, you would never even know that their content is AI written, and they write 30, 40, 50 blog posts in one day. And that's how I think AI should be treated, where it's quality. It actually answers questions that your ideal clients and core group care about. And it doesn't feel like it's this inauthentic way to just check the box and move on.
I love that. It's great advice. And it's one of those things that, again, going back to my comments from last week, if you're using it as a tool and you're skilled at using the tool, you will have good results. If you're just typing in ChatGPT, write a blog post about how monkeys eat bananas, it's going to turn out crap. Like, you're not going to use that on LinkedIn and build your authority and your brand presence. So using the tools to leverage your brand, to grow your presence, but also to be found on search and Google and other search engines too. That's the other thing that we touched on was Google is still the biggest search engine in the world. YouTube is a massive search engine. Yes, owned by Google. So you could theoretically combine them, but AI is now turning into some of the biggest search engines in the world. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini in itself, which again, Google product. So it's all kind of lumped together, but if you're aware of the landscape, it's going to definitely catch you off guard. So listening to episodes like this is super important to understand where we are in the marketplace in real time and what it means for you and your business. That's what I hope we did a good job of in that episode was, what does this mean for me? What do I need to do? And what else do I need to be aware of on the horizon? But that's enough for this week. That's enough for the Whupdate. I hope you enjoyed these episodes. If you didn't, let me know. If you did, also let me know. I love to hear that stuff. Let me know what you want more of. What are your questions? What are you struggling with? And we will get those guests on the podcast. I will ask them the questions you want to know. And if you have follow-up questions for any of our guests, a lot of them are in our Facebook group. So if you heard about that in the intro, go check it out. It's humanop.com/lunch. We'll take you right there, right to the Facebook group. You can join, free to join. And we want to have you interacting with our guests, the listeners, other audience members, answer the questions that you have in your business. And we want to help you build a more harmonious business and life. That's the purpose of this podcast. We'll see you in the group. We'll see you next week for 4 more great episodes and incredible guests, and back on the Whupdate next Friday. Until then, toodaloo.
Another episode of Harmonious at Lunch in the books. I hope this episode made you think and you grabbed some actionable ideas to propel your business. Don't forget to like, comment your takeaways, and subscribe wherever you're listening so we can help more entrepreneurs just like you achieve harmony in their life and business. For cutting-edge tools that bring clarity to your people and processes, check out humanop.com.